to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching the Vuyo Show, coming to you live from New York City. It is I, your favorite global darling, Vuyo, and here to serve you your daily dose of global goodness right here on the show. So from wherever you are around the world, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, it is, of course, me saying thank you so much for taking the time to join me on the show today. I am not alone today on the show. I have such a very, very, very exciting and interesting guest that I know for sure you are going to love. She is a good global guest and she does that so effortlessly. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation. I've been excited all week to be sitting down with this next guest. So I'd love you to stay tuned, stay plugged in, of course, like, share, subscribe our YouTube channel and social media. And of course, follow us on all our social media platforms and go on our YouTube channel and subscribe. Do all the things that need to be done. But most importantly, for this conversation, I'd like for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the next couple of minutes together with my next good global guest. She is, of course, a global superstar entrepreneur, an internationally acclaimed speaker, the founder and CEO of Pinq Inc., a best-selling published author. She just has done such incredible work in the business space in the USA and just around the world. I met her in South Africa, has spent time with her in Dubai, and of course now here in the USA. We've been doing some incredible work together. I can't wait to introduce to you. She is in the studio right here with me, ladies and gents. It's global darling, global internationally recognized woman of the year in my books, the one and only Brittany Freeman, everybody. Yay! Hello, Brittany.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There she is.
Yay!
Finally, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties we're having today. My goodness.
It happens. But out of all of that, we always make sure to make it happen, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I was saying in the intro that I've been looking forward to this conversation this entire week. Like I've just been like counting days. On Monday, I'm like, okay, Tuesday is tomorrow, and then it's Wednesday, and then it's Thursday. So I mean, definitely look. And now we're here. I was saying in the intro I was just kind of singing your praises to how magnificent the work that you've done, and I was asking our, the audience to just please sit back for this conversation. Just sit back and enjoy and relax, because we definitely are going to be having one that is empowering and encouraging and igniting as well, because that's what I think for me personally. I've had those conversations with you that are empowering, and I know for a fact that our audience is going to have the same experience today as well.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited.
And where are you joining me from around the US currently right now?
I am in Atlanta today, and as soon as we're done, I'm jetting off to LA to see another client. So it's been a busy week.
I love that. That's what I love to hear. Whenever I speak to you, and it's like I love locating you, because you are either on a plane with a client or just being an incredible human being that you are. So you're coming to us from Atlanta. But Brittany, you've had an incredible journey. I mean, we've had, personal conversations about your journey, and you've really kind of been an example to so many young women around the world, with the way in which you've taken your career, your personal life as well, and how you've just been able to navigate what's seemingly quite impossible for many young people around the world, and for many, particularly women of color around the world, right? Where did the journey begin for you? Where would you say it all kind of stemmed from? Because there's always a root cause for either a good or a bad thing. And in your case, It is a good thing.
Yes,
what would you say is your root cause, and where it kind of all stemmed from to what we're seeing today?
Well, for me, I first of all, I had no desire to be an entrepreneur 10 years ago. I just wanted to, graduate from the university and get my master's and work at a nonprofit as a social worker. And I did do that. And I don't know if you know anything about nonprofits, but their financial abilities can be somewhat unstable. So I was working there. I thought I had my dream job, and out of nowhere, I think I might have been there maybe 2 years in that position. They came in and they said, hey, we're not going to be able to pay you or pay your staff, because I was the director at the time. And I had to make some decisions. I had a mortgage to pay, a car note, I had big girl bills. I was just out of school. So I had to figure some things out. And I stayed at that job for 3 months, which, of course, if you're not getting paid, ultimately you can't pay your bills.
Yes.
And I just was like, okay, I have to do something else. I have to figure this thing out. And whatever it is, I don't want to work for anyone else right now. And I want to be able to use the skills and do the things that I love. And I ended up kind of falling into the world of life coaching, and life coaching then kind of transitioned into, people were like, yeah, we love the fact that you want to help us to feel good, but we love how your business is structured. We love how, you started off, because my story is I started off nearly homeless. I had nothing on day one. Learned how to do everything. I built my first website, designed my own logo, because I didn't have the money. So a lot of my clients were very similar to that. They were like, look, teach us how to do what you just did with your business, because, it's hard. And, we don't have the means as well. And that's really how we got onto the track of working with women-owned businesses that were looking to take their brand and their business to the next level, which ultimately landed us to being one of the leading business development and digital marketing agencies for women throughout the U.S. So that's how we got here in the short story.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And I think it really is, you're kind of foretelling and showing us really the journey as an overview, right? But I'm intrigued now to even find out more about the decision to get into nonprofit, the decision to be, get into social work. What was going on in that decision? Why did you particularly choose to go that particular route with your career before stepping into entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. So I've always been someone who wants to help. I've always wanted to help people in any capacity that I can. I really feel, even though we help in a different way, I've always wanted to be able to work with the people that didn't have it in some capacity, and to connect them to the dots to get them to have what it is that they need to survive. So I've always been doing that for a while. My mom actually started off working for the government. So I saw her, working for UNCF, which is the United Negro College Fund. She was the director of communications for, 2 women congresswomen. So I was able to see her, on the ground, working throughout the U.S. government on these different things to, again, help states, help counties, and overall help individuals with getting scholarships through the United Negro College Fund. So I was able to see that. And I remember before I went off to college and, really made the decision of social work, my mom was working for the Department of U.S. Aid. And she traveled over to, I can't remember where she went, but I know she was out of the country for a while. And she was just helping all these different people with her, with her career. And I kept thinking, okay, I want to do something like this, but on a local level and in the United States. And when I went into undergrad and I was looking through a couple of different things, and, we landed on social work, and that's really how it began. And I worked with so many different families, women that were abused, children that had been abused. I work with individuals that had alcoholism and different substance abuse things going on. But ultimately, my heart was with the women, which, again, led to where we're at today.
And what is growing up in an environment where you're seeing service consistently being kind of, done, right? As you said, your mom was someone who was consistently serving the community. What does that foster to you then as a child? Like when you were then growing up and seeing that around, what did it ignite inside of you?
It was a lot of curiosity. It was a lot of curiosity. And it also, I didn't feel any type of limitations. My mom had, all these different types of titles, and she was appointed by President Clinton at the time for all these different jobs. And I kept thinking, whoa, she's a woman just like me. She's a woman of color just like me. She's traveling around the world. Why can't I do that too? why can't we help people and do different things as a woman of color? So I felt no limitations whatsoever of what women could do. And I definitely felt like whatever it is I'm going to do in life, it needs to involve being able to use my gifts and my talents and being able to do it for someone else that needs something in some capacity. So that's what it really instilled in me.
Yeah. I mean, I've met your mom, and I absolutely.
Oh my.
Whenever I see her, I get so excited. I definitely love her, and the warmth. And I said this to her as well. I was like, from the sense of style to the warmth, it kind of translated so well to you, and you can just see it abundantly in you as well. So having to see that trajectory and that legacy kind of go on from her to then being, coming to you, and you then exponentially doing it at a scale where the rest of the world gets to experience and appreciate that as well. So then you go to college and you kind of, do your undergrad and proceed to your master's.
Mm-hmm.
What is then the goal for that? What is the goal to further extend your education within the field? What did that signify and mean? And I'm asking this question specifically for whoever might be watching and is contemplating that next step within their education, and you are able to go about do that. So what did it signify to you and mean to you in that particular moment that you decided to go ahead and embark on it?
Absolutely. So after undergrad, one of the things that they instilled in us in our undergrad program is that you must get your master's, in order to really flourish throughout your career. And one thing about me, I'm never really satisfied with, the entry level position. I'm always thinking, okay, how can I be the director? How can I learn all the different things and make sure we turn this thing up, 10 notches wherever I'm working. So I knew I had to get the master's. That just was without a doubt the route that had to happen in social work. And once I got there, my plan ultimately was to become a director of a nonprofit agency that's, providing some type of assistance to the community. And then from there, I thought I wanted to become a licensed therapist. So I was on that track, because you have to get all these different hours to become licensed and things like that. But ultimately, I had reached the first goal, which was becoming the director of the nonprofit. But the next step was going to be, getting ready for licensure.
And then that shift happened, right?
Shifted completely.
What's so interesting is how some things are just completely out of our control. And I would love to hear from you what decisions, and I mean from that particular shift, and we're gonna go beyond that shift in a moment. But before that shift happened, what decisions do you think that you had taken that were beneficial to you, right? Some of the steps and the things that you found yourself gearing towards, that when you look back, you're like, I'm glad I did that decision. I'm glad I made that decision. I'm glad I made that decision.
I'm really glad that I've always taken the direction of leadership. I've always liked leadership positions, no matter what I was doing. I was the president of our sorority. I was inside of all these different clubs and groups within college. So that really instilled in me the leadership that you really need to be an entrepreneur. Because a lot of times, if you're going to own a business, even if you're just leading yourself, you have to have those skills. So I'm really, really happy that I made those decisions to not just kind of play the background, which is okay, but I needed to be able to learn how to be a leader, but also being led. And those decisions really allowed me to do what it is that I am today, because I used to be extremely shy, believe it or not. Okay.
That's so hard to believe.
I know it. I know every time I say that, people are like, I don't believe that one, but I used to be so shy and I just kind of hide behind my work and, do whatever. So those things, again, those decisions really allowed me to say, no, you got it going on, girl. Go ahead, go after it, go and do it, speak up. And yeah, it worked out big time for me.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, I can already see you in your sorority and in those clubs, seeing what needs to be done and seeing how things could be fixed and how solutions could come out. What challenges then would you say, or rather, not even mistakes, but challenges that you came across, right? That maybe were inspired by the decisions that you have taken that might have not been what you had hoped for. On the other side of the good decisions, what would you say you learned within that journey as well?
Now, would this be before becoming an entrepreneur, or
Yes.
okay, before?
So with before that shift happened
Got
10
it.
years ago.
Got it. You know what? Now that I look back, I'm the type of person where I always say everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, even if it's a mistake. But I think if I could probably pinpoint one thing, it probably would have been that. You know what? I'm trying to think. What would it have been? Maybe it would have been great to probably join a few more associations as a full on adult. I really was engulfed in the career. You know, I kind of let being a part of clubs and associations kind of run to the wayside at the time. But it really is so valuable to make sure that if you're saying this is your career, whatever that may be, to make sure you're involved in different things after the university. It's just as important to make sure that you're continuously growing that network, because there's always someone that knows more than you. There's always someone that have, maybe another opportunity that you don't know about. And I know for me, once I was done with my schooling, I was like, okay, I don't have time for this. I got to just focus on, what's happening at the job. So that probably would have been a really great value, once you're done with school, to still be involved with things.
And I think that's a mistake that a lot of young adults get to do as well. Just the transition when you then do graduate and get into your career, the navigation of the world in this new way, right?
Exactly.
And understanding networking and networks, etc. In that space. So that's a lesson that I hope anyone who's watching is going to take and be like, that's
For
something
sure.
to think about. That's something to think about.
Exactly.
So that shift then happens. And I think there's something particularly unique about that moment, right? I think a lot of people now are in that space. We're seeing a transition in time, right? COVID-19 brought this new era of time. Yeah. So we are finding a lot of people in this space where they just don't know what's going on or don't know what to do. The navigation of that particular for you, what was it like? How did you find yourself to be able to cross over to the other side and embrace this new career or embrace this new path that you have chosen without any kind of hindrance of looking back and shying away from what's in the future?
Really, for me, I feel like it was almost forced. Like, when you hit rock bottom, that was my rock bottom moment at that time. You really have no other choice but to thrive, because you're already there. It can't get any worse than this. At least it felt like it at the time. So I had no other option but to utilize the time that I had where the job was not working out for me and they were not paying me, to learn as much as possible. And instead of feeling bad for myself, okay, we got it. Yes, this is not the best ordeal, but what can we do to get out of this situation? I'm really good about planning. I look at the issue and I'm like, okay, that's what the issue is. What can we do? How long is it going to take? What do we actually need versus what do we have? What do we need to go and get in order to make it to level 1, level 2, level 3? So for me, back was up against the wall. I didn't have any time to do any crying. It was sink or swim. Figure it out, or you're going to have another day just like this. And we don't want another day just like this where we're sad and we're like, what are we going to do about life? So that was really what took me to the next level as far as the transition.
That's such an interesting way of looking at it, right? And looking at it from a solutions point of view and saying that let's find the solution, let's find a way out of this. Right. And would you say that particularly choosing or rather taking on coaching in that particular moment as part of your business was because of your background in social work, in nonprofit, in community work, or was it really also a direction that you had wanted even prior to that?
It was very easy for me to do because of my background in counseling and social work and things of that nature. Now, even though I will say, when you're counseling someone from the social work side, it's more so, someone's hungry, they have some type of mental health, issue going on, but it's still solution focused. So even though I was coaching women on different challenges that they've had going on in their life at that time, it was still solution focused. So I was already trained in that. I already had the skills in that in order to help them to go from point A to point B. Not to mention, I had just gone from, point A trying to get to point B too.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
really helped me with trying to relate to a lot of the clients I had at the time too.
And if someone were to ask you the question of how do you even expand on and explaining what coaching or life coaching is, or business coaching in particular, how would you go about explaining what that particular career path looks like, or the description of it? What would you kind of say that would be?
Absolutely. So, life coaching, business coaching, branding coaching, at the end of the day, it's a form of coaching, which is working with one individual at a time or a group of people on solving a problem. And you're working with them week after week to help them build a step-by-step plan of action based upon what they currently have. So you're not trying to say, look, you want to make $1 million. All right, you got to go and get a bank loan tomorrow. Well, maybe they don't even have a bank account. Maybe they don't even have the very first steps that are needed to make it to the ultimate goal. So you're really there working with them based upon what they have to get them to what they need. If that makes sense, is the form of coaching. So again, I started off with the life coaching, and then it transitioned into the business coaching.
And you've also trained coaches as well, which I also find so fascinating on how that transition then happens from coaching people in their particular, areas, either business or life, etc., to then coaching others to coach others. So what particular techniques or particular things that you found as within your model as well, within that next frontier of your business?
So for the first thing is I had to become certified at coaching. That was the very first thing. So once you become certified, because we have an association as a coach, and I went through that certification. And one of the things that they told me is, well, now that you're certified, you can, of course, coach other individuals, but you can take another certification to then coach and train other future life coaches to become certified underneath you. So I went maybe about 2 years just, coaching individuals, and I was getting all types of great feedback. And I said, all right, I think I'm ready to start some type of academy where I can start training other people who want to be coaches. And little did I know, it was probably the best thing that I could have done, because there were, again, way more people that were interested in, oh, I see how you did it. I want to be able to do that too. Or I like the way your business is set up. Show me how to do that too. And we had Life Coach School 2.0 for years. And then I ended up teaching it at the university level. And now it is licensed out at other universities at this time. So I don't even have to teach it anymore. But now they're able to offer it at other universities through the program that I developed in 2016.
And I think it's the trajectory of your career, and I mean I've seen and I've heard people who've been part of your training programs and your coaching programs just speak and just speak highly of. And the beauty of it is that there are different types of coaching. It doesn't necessarily, one doesn't have to be a life coach. They can take another type of coaching. So there's an open space, a table for everyone to kind of be part of. And for someone who's watching and is probably contemplating coaching, right? And I know from my perspective, from an African point of view, very rare that I've come across people who have taken coaching as a career. Because of just the lack of insight about what it is and how to go about doing it. What would you say are some of the first key steps, initial things that for one who wants to be a coach and just doesn't know where to begin? What would you say are some of the key fundamental things to set in place in order to be a coach in whatever area or specific industry?
I would always say first figure out what type of coach you want to be first. That is monumental to figuring out what direction that you should go. Like, for example, if you want to be a business coach or you want to have a business coaching agency where you're providing some type of coaching and done for you services, all of that you need to first figure out first. Once you have that part figured out, then you want to get some type of formal training or business development training. One of those need to happen, and or both, in order for your business to thrive. Because it's one thing to have the skills to coach someone, right? But the second thing that you have to have is make sure that what you're trying to coach is marketable. You're going to be able to have some clients. All of that is equally as important. And I think one of the reasons why my program, when we had that coaching program years ago, when I was doing it with one-on-one with students, was that we provided the development for their business and the actual certification to become a coach as well. Because, obviously us running an agency for business, we know it's so important to make sure that you know how to run your business as well. So figure that part out first.
It is a business at the end of the day, right?
Right.
And it has to be run and managed accordingly. And so Pinq Inc. is now established. It's now a fully formed business, and there's clients. At what stage are you now comfortable with this new career that you've? Are you at what point within the 10-year time period did it kind of settle in?
I would probably say the very first time that I had a full-time employee and we actually had like an actual office. That was when it really kicked in. Like, okay, we've done something here. We feel good
Yeah.
about this. We feel like we're established. That was probably the very first time, because it's one thing where you're just working with like one client at a time versus, you're working with clients. You got to bring on a team to work with clients. You need somebody to do your accounting. You need someone to run your emails. All of that really will make a business feel like, okay, I think we've made it. We're doing something here.
And I love that first time there was an actual employee, because it's not you anymore. It's now it's actually there's other people's lives involved, and I guess that's also
Exactly.
kind of makes it a little bit more. It puts a stance to it in some degree. What inspired the name Pinq Inc? Was there a significance behind it?
There is. So my very first day starting my business, we were called Dimension Wellness, which is a crazy name. But again, I had the mind frame of social work at the time. Everything wellness and mental health, that's what I was thinking of. And as I mentioned, after only 12 months went by and people were like, we don't want to hear anything else about this mental health stuff. Help us with the business. I kept thinking, I'm outgrowing this name, Dimension Wellness. This has nothing to do with the direction that we're going now with marketing and business. And I wrote my very first book, and it was called Dear Pinq in 2015. And again, I had no idea that I was going to name the business Pinq. And I want to say maybe 1 year after that, I was like, we have to rebrand. We've outgrown this name, and the whole business framework needs to now change and evolve. And I thought about that book because Pinq came from the fact that we only work with queens, right? So instead of the K on Pinq, it's a Q for queen. So that's where that came from, because I feel like Pinq really exudes femininity, womanhood. And as you know from my story from the beginning, is I love women being able to do whatever it is that they say they want to do. I think we can walk into any room and lead and do all types of stuff. So that's where the name Pinq really came from.
Oh man, and the book, right? And I'm sure there were some nuggets that were in that particular book, Dear Pinq. What then inspired the writing of that book? What were you kind of thinking and hoping to give to whoever the reader of that book at that particular moment in time was?
Absolutely. So that book was more like a memoir, if you will, of how I went from, social work, and I thought this was it for me. And, how I went from being nearly homeless and getting ready to lose everything I had to, whoa, we have a business and it's picking up traffic. I had no idea it was going to grow to where we're at now 10 years later, but it was good for me at that time. So that's what that book was about, because I felt like there needed to be more books available for women, for brown girls, just like me and you, where it's sharing a story where we're being really transparent that, hey, not everything looks perfect. You can go to school, you can have 2 and 3 and 4 degrees, and you can still fail. But after that failure, it can still turn into something amazing. So I shared a lot of that. It was not just about, this whole rags to riches situation. I shared some of the traumas I had been through as a child. I shared, a lot of those things, but I made sure that it also provided different steps and goals that women could set throughout the book. If my particular story was relating to them, there was a way to kind of teach them how to get out of it also.
And I love the transparency, because I think that particular element, and I even for this conversation as well, which was why I was so intrigued by the before the transition as well, because a lot of the times we see accomplished women and we see established women, and we don't necessarily know the backstory, that when we don't get to that particular moment that they're in currently right now, there's a bit of discouragement. So I love that you are transparent in your journey, right? And even within that book, going into depth about not just the present, but how the past affected the present, but in a way where you were able to take lessons from it and move forward ahead. Is that book currently available? And where I know we're going to talk about the other two, but that one, is it still out available?
It's still out. Barnes and Nobles and Amazon. It's everywhere. Yeah, you can still get it. And I believe we even have it where you can purchase it from our website, which is www.pinqinc.com. But it's on Amazon and at Barnes and Nobles too.
It's something to go check out. I know we have International Women's Month coming soon, so I think that's also something that women can kind of just get and buy, to relate to a story that might be similar to theirs, but a story of triumph, right?
Yes.
And you went on to open a co-working space, which I find so fascinating.
Yes.
Again, I think it's all tying together, making a lot of sense now, because the goal was, from what I recall from this conversation, was to always support and help women, and then helping coach women, and now saying to them, come and start your business, come and have your business situated here with us, right?
Exactly.
What then, that move, was that the goal, or how was the trajectory that you had in mind for the co-working space when you opened it?
So wasn't my goal initially at all. A funny thing is, when I first started the business, you're taught, you have to have an office, you have to have a secretary. You're not a real business until you have these things. But, I started with pennies. I had nothing. So I was looking up, okay, where can I, meet with my clients, and the word co-working popped up. I had never heard of co-working, back in 2014. And I knew I was not getting ready to get a full-on office anywhere, because I didn't even have a client at this time. It was just me and like some goals. And I believe it might have been, I don't know, maybe like $50 a month or something to co-work. And I went into this space, and I just remember it wasn't a warm space, but it was affordable at the time. Everyone was kind of like not talking to each other. No one was sharing resources. It didn't feel warm. I hated the aesthetic. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pink. And I was like, it wasn't pink. So it's like, oh, this isn't girly enough at all, but it'll do. And I stayed there for maybe a year. And what I realized while I was there is, none of my clients were coming into this place. Everybody wanted to just talk to me virtually. And this is well before, the pandemic, where everyone's talking via Zoom, So we were talking on the phone. So I said, I don't need this co-working space. I'm out of here. So years had gone on. And one thing that I do about my business is, I don't like for the upcoming year to look like the year that we're getting ready to transition out of. Because if you're not elevating professionally and personally, you're staying the same. I don't believe in that. So I knew year one was to make sure that we were gaining traffic and getting some clients. Year two, we had, the university, the school. By year three, I'm like, all right, what's next for us? And again, I'm starting to see more and more about co-working spaces. I saw nothing for women. I saw nothing that was pink and pretty and affordable at the same time. So then that's when it became the next goal for us. Is like, all right, look, we're only focused on business now. We need a place where women can come in. They can have events here. They can co-work, and they can have a private office as well. So we had all of that in the one building.
I remember seeing those photos. I was like, I would have fly to America right now, and go to work in this space. So beautiful, so beautiful. How did COVID affect the space, though, right? And having to not have people come in physically anymore. What are the challenges that you faced within that time period?
Oh yes. So I was just like any other business that had a brick and mortar location. We were shut down, and our co-working space at the time was in Richmond, Virginia. One thing about Richmond and in Virginia, we're a Commonwealth state. So they were very serious about COVID. So the co-working space, I feel they shut everything down for in-person stuff. Let's just say maybe like March 8th. That place stayed closed for like a year and some change. No one could come. Oh yeah, they were not having it at all. And also, what that meant was, of course, everybody that was a member, we had maybe 100, 200 people that were just virtual members coming in and out. And people had events that were planned. We had to refund everybody because they can't come in, and we have no idea when the doors are going to open up. And everybody that had their private office, of course, they couldn't see their clients. So, and the courts were closed. So it meant that people were they abandoned the office. They didn't, contact us or anything. They literally abandoned the office and just left out. They left their furniture. I feel like there was probably only one person that was honest and was like, hey, I can't pay this. What are we supposed to do? So it was a big, big hit to that side of the business. Luckily for me, was that was only one branch of the business. We had, about 5 other departments that were still doing fine because we're an agency. So we were already providing digital marketing services to our clients where, of course, that's all virtual. It didn't require the co-working space at all, but it was a major hit. And I want to say after COVID, kind of went away for a little while, we reopened our doors, but that side of the business never recovered because, again, people had already learned to now start doing their business 100% virtually. They were like, look, I don't need a space anymore. So that side took a big, big hit, but we had a good run for 5 years. It was amazing. So I was like, I don't want to do co-working anymore. I want to focus on, having an office. And we went from having the one office in Atlanta to then we opened up an office in Miami, and then we're preparing to announce our 3rd location. So it was a blessing in disguise, but I was very hurt, when it happened. I felt like, oh my God, is this, a failure? Is this another failure on me? I failed in the beginning, and, now here we are, but it was a blessing in disguise for sure.
I mean, I can only imagine because I think once you do such impactful work like that, right, that resonates and helps so many people and provides a solution, and then having to see that taken away, by obviously external circumstances that are out of our control. But I think the impact in itself had been done within those years, right? And it had served its course. You spoke about diversification and having different brands within your business, and which was what helped sustain your business during COVID-19. How do you even begin diversification? How do you know what to diversify in that still makes sense to the brand, to the core brand of the business?
For sure. So one thing that you have to do is trend reporting within your industry. So for us, remember I mentioned that, you have to have some type of, idea of the direction of where you want to go annually, every 12 months, so that you can plan for that in the year before. So for me, I knew in year 2, now that everyone's like, look, we don't want to hear about life coaching. We want to learn about business stuff. I knew that we had to create an agency. It couldn't just be about coaching, one woman at a time. We needed a team, and we needed to be able to offer as many different services that we're skilled in that a business would need. And for me, I knew that a number one thing that a business must have, no matter what you got going on, is marketing. You have to have the marketing together, or it is nearly impossible for you to make sales and have funding and things of that nature. So for us, we knew that marketing was going to be the foundation of what we provide. We knew that no matter what was happening in the world, if we were working with established brands, they were going to make sure that they were still investing into that particular service. So we weren't just offering one marketing service. We offer like 10 different marketing services. Literally, if you come to Pinq Inc., we can cover almost anything that you need for digital marketing, from social media, from billboards to, managing and running your actual e-commerce store, you need influencers, all of that. We do that under one umbrella. So it really was the best thing that we could have ever done to make sure that we're a full service brand.
And what I'm taking from that is that even from a particular niche, right, or a particular type of business that you choose to do, there can still be different branches from that. And I think so many people often get boxed in to that one particular type of service where perhaps by looking and investigating, there could be more in there. Right.
Exactly.
And there could be a lot that could be accessed within that as well. And how do you choose the type of diversification products? I know, when we recently did a billboard reveal of the sports influencing part of the Pinq Inc brand. How do you select what to delve into and what not to delve into for your brand?
I really pay attention not just to the trend reporting and looking into the future to see what's going to be needed, but I really pay attention to what our clients' problems are. So we initially were offering the influencer marketing, which would be, any type of influencer with not leadership, lifestyle or mommy influencers, things like that. But a lot of times our clients were saying, these set of influencers are doing good, but I wish we could get it in front of a different type of influencer that's doing something else. And I kept thinking, you know what? There are sports influencers out there that a lot of people aren't tapping into. This is the time for us to start working with these different women's and these sport players and folks that are in the WNBA and the cheerleaders that are out there, because the eyes, the cameras are still on them. They have an audience, but we just have to be able to create a campaign so that it makes sense for our client and it makes sense for the sports influencers that we're working with too. And it has really taken off. Like, for example, the Super Bowl is coming up. So, obviously we don't know which team is going to win, but it's $1 billion marketing ad spend over there for the Super Bowl. So imagine each player there, they have all these different contracts that have nothing to do with them being on the field. So I said, look, we have to make sure that we're partnering with some of these people that are going to be on the field, because again, it's great resources, it's great opportunities for the clients that we serve. So that's really where it came from.
So you take into consideration the problems that your clients have and then solve them for them, right? And I think that's something else that one could potentially note within that as well, to say the problems might be there. If you just listen a little bit deeper, then you'll be able to find what to tap into as well as you're moving forward with your business. What has been some of the things that you'd say now, based on what your business is now to what it was 10 years ago? And I mean, it's been just a journey, and I'm hoping even as you're sharing, you are reminiscing on the journey. If you were to describe your business and what Pinq Inc is, to anyone who's like, what is Pinq Inc? The definition of it now and the definition of it when it started, what are those two definitions, and how similar or how different are they from each other?
Oh, night and day, except the core, which was women. It's always been about the women. The only thing from the beginning was I didn't know anything about a niche. I didn't know anything about turning one skill into 17 skills. So I knew in the beginning was I want to be able to help women. I didn't identify how I wanted to help them. I didn't identify where or when, who I need to help them, or what problem I needed to solve at the time either. So now we're very much locked into, this is the type of woman that we want to be able to help. This is how we're going to help them. And this is the type of tools, resources, team, and location that we're going to need in order for us to get it done, and how long it's going to take to get it done too. So that's really the big difference, is really getting specific about how to get it done, who you want to get it done with, and where you want to get it done.
And at the core, it's still the core then and now is still the same core, right?
Still the same.
How do you manage like all these different locations? Like I am always curious. Having an office in Atlanta, having an office in Miami, soon to have a third location, but also traveling between Virginia. Like, what does your schedule even look like? If that is even a fair question to ask.
It's pretty hectic right now. It really is. But I think one of the reasons why it works for me is I love being active. I've always loved being active. Me and my husband, we don't have any kids yet. So we had that opportunity to travel from here to there, on a dime and different things like that. So for me, I feel like we've created a life that we enjoy. It's a schedule that we enjoy. And we find time to make sure that we have those personal moments that have nothing to do with work. Like, for example, on the weekends, it is very rare that I'm going to do something on a Saturday and a Sunday because that's normally the time where wherever we're at, whatever house we're at, whatever office we're at, we're just going to do some regular stuff. That might just be some TV, laying down for 5 minutes. But it's the type of life that we've been working towards having, so it doesn't really feel as chaotic as it may sound. Another great thing too is the Miami office is self-sufficient, meaning that I created an office that does not require me to be there 24/7. Everything that particular branch of the business needs, they're there. So if I end up having to travel there, it's literally to maybe just kind of check in, hey, how are things going? But they don't need me there. The Atlanta office is different. The Atlanta office, that's where we started off. So there's more clients there that are looking to work with Brittany versus in the Miami office, they're looking to work with the person that they're assigned to, the team member that they're assigned to. So for any future offices that we open up, I don't want to always be the face of the business, if that makes sense. I want to be able to set it up, make sure you have a team there running it, and I'm going to just pop in for a training and I'm out of there. That really makes it work very well.
And Atlanta being the headquarters really of Pinq Inc, and then all these different what is the mindset of someone who is expanding to the degree that you've expanded in? Like, and we've had this particular conversation about global expansion, etc. And you've eloquently done that, right? So what type of mind frame do you set yourself in order to be able to start even thinking about opening an office in a different state, or opening traveling to different countries, etc.?
I always say figure out what's the purpose of doing it. Some people like to do it because it sounds cool, which we won't make any money or impact that way. Or you want to do it because in your heart, if you just open up in this side of town or in this country, things are going to pop off for you. Figure out what's the purpose first. Create some type of plan of action to get it done by a certain date. Like for me, again, it's always the 12 months. 12 months, we're doing this, and that's it. I don't care what part we're missing. On this date is launching, and that's happening. Do that. Set a deadline date for it. And then the last thing that I always say is you don't have to have the biggest office. You don't have to be the biggest name, on day one. Anytime you're expanding, you need to remember that this is technically day one for you in that locality or in this specific industry or on this side of town. It's day one. So you have to have that same hunger in you. You have to work as hard until it's able to kind of have the traffic and kind of gain steam without you having to monitor it, like you would for maybe something else that's already established and running quite smoothly. So that's really what's worked for me. I don't take anything too serious where I'm like, well, it has to be perfect, or I'm not announcing it, or I'm not doing it. We got a plan. We have a checklist. And if it's not done by the first, on the first is launching regardless, and we'll figure it out as we go along.
And that's an approach that I think has a lot of people just holding back. And I think this is such an important conversation because the things and the tools that you're giving today are ones that are practical, that one could be like, that's something that I can take with me and start and begin. Because that's always the hardest part.
Oh, for sure.
And I would love to also kind of touch base on the International Business Retreat, which I think is one of the most beautiful experiences. I've been part of two of those in two different continents. When did that particular, part and wing of the business begin, and what was the goal for that particular one as well?
Absolutely. So the very first time I traveled out of the U.S. for any type of business was to Ghana. And when I went, it was a journey. I was all over the place because this is my first time.
Yeah.
I remember just being so excited. I remember being so unprepared, but like as I've mentioned several times, I'm not one of those people where I take anything too serious where it has to be perfect before I did it. And I went, and I remember my friends and family, they were like, "Oh, what are you thinking? Going all the way to Ghana by yourself? This is madness." And when I got there were people there that had heard of the business already, which was astonishing to me. My mind was blown that when I got there was actually people all the way in another place outside the US that knew my name, they knew the name of my business, and they were excited to hear me speak. And it let me know, you know what? I could keep doing this. I want to go to other places. I want to go to other places outside the US and meet with other people or start a business or work with other clients here. And when I got back, I recorded a YouTube episode and I shared it. And I remember there were so many other women that were like, "Oh my God, you went there by yourself? What did people say? What were you scared?" And I was like, "No, why not? What's the big deal? Why are you
It's just Ghana. It's just around the
scared?"
corner.
So they, oh my God, we would love to have that opportunity one day. And they just kept talking about how they would never have this opportunity. And I was like, why not? Yeah, you can. I said, you know what? I'm going to create an international business retreat where I'm going to create something and I'm going to bring everybody who wants to go that has a business and they'll be able to experience it too. And I'm going to give them the opportunity to speak as well. And that's really where it started because I did it myself. I was kind of nervous, but it wasn't going to stop me from going. And we've just been rocking and rolling ever since. We've done Dubai and we've been to your amazing place of South Africa and
Cape
Cape Town,
Town, yes.
Paris. I mean, we have been all over, and now we're headed to Thailand this year.
I know, and that's exciting. I know that Thailand is up next, and I think the beauty of that retreat is that these women are going to all these different parts of the world, but they're setting imprint of their businesses, of their brands in all of these different countries, and leaving their names there, right?
Yeah,
And they can now start beginning their international expansion journey to getting clients in those countries. So it's even beyond just the experience, but it has the ramifications of literally global expansion and literally
yeah,
having to set foot within these countries. April 2024 is Thailand.
yeah.
If there's anyone who's watching and is like, now I want to come, I want to be part of it, I want to, please give us all the information about it. How does one begin that journey to be part of it?
Absolutely. So that particular retreat is sold out. However, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's sold out. But one of the reasons why it sells out is that I never like to take too large of a group, out of the country. I'm like, let's do like 10 or 12, and kind of cap it at that. But we have them every year like clockwork. So we'll make the next announcement for the next place that we're going to go to. I want to say make that announcement August of every year. So all you have to do is either follow us on Instagram at Pinq Inc. or go to our website at www.pinqinc.com and we'll make the announcement there as well. But it always happens. Just got to look for the announcement when we announce the new place we're going to.
Yeah, so we're giving you the scoop early. It's
Early.
still January, so you'll know what next year is and what country next year is going to be. So make sure you stay clued up on that. So business retreat, March is also a very special month for Pinq Inc. and for you.
Yes. Yes.
And I want us to just, give us some snippets of what you can tell us and what you can't tell us. We'll wait until March.
Okay.
But some of the things that you can tell us about this, it's International Women's Month, so that's also something quite significantly special. But dish it to us.
Okay, so March is one of my absolute favorite months of the entire year. Now, I'll start with the personal reason. First of all, March is my birthday. So this year I'm turning 38. I cannot believe it that I'm turning 30. It's nuts. I felt like I was just 25 5 minutes ago. So also, this is our 10th year anniversary. So I literally have been planning and dreaming about what we were going to do to really celebrate the brand, celebrate our clients, celebrate the road that we've been on. So we are doing that this year in March with the announcement of our third location. And then also I'm releasing my third book. So March is very, very special to me. And then another thing that I probably don't talk about that as much, but was that 2 or 3 years ago? Might have been 3 years ago. Might have been 4 years ago. I was honored with a proclamation from our governor for National Life Coaches Day. So that also is March, I believe, March 3rd. So also, even though I started off in the life coaching field, I'm not necessarily in the life coaching field now. It's still a day that life coaches across the U.S. still celebrate that day till this day. So we're always really excited to kind of go back in time and talk about how we started with getting that proclamation for National Life Coaches Day. Also,
I love it. I love it. March is going to be really, really. So I'm just hoping that everyone who's watching is just going to stay glued to their screens and their phones, because it is going to be quite a big
oh
month
yeah,
for Pinq Inc. and for you as well. Looking
yes,
forward to celebrating all these achievements that you
yes.
are, going to have. I think 10 years is a very, very long time, and it's a long time specifically because it tests and challenges you. And if you're able to sustain for that amount of time, there's definitely something that you have that is worth celebrating. So I am so, so excited for the month of March, the book. Oh my God. How was writing this book?
Oh
Did
my
it feel any different?
I don't feel different, but I feel almost relieved, for this particular book. I have been writing this book. This is probably the longest I've been writing this book. I wrote this book, started it 2 years ago. Two
Mm.
years ago, I started writing this. And normally for the other two books, I'm telling you, it takes me like 6 months to write a book. I'm done. And one of the reasons why I kept getting delayed was I got pregnant 2 years ago for the first time after me and my husband got married. And then we had a miscarriage and I stopped writing. I was healing and I'm angry and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It's like everything in my business is doing great. And we have this giant huge loss that I was not prepared for. But again, instead of kind of loathing in my sadness about the situation, I said, you know what, let me do some research about miscarriages. And what I was surprised to know is that this is something that happens quite often,
A lot
to
of
women
women. Mm.
quite often. I mean, it doesn't matter how prepared you are. It doesn't matter how healthy you are, how much money you have. It means nothing. A miscarriage can happen at any time, and it is more popular and happening to more brown women, just like me and you, that I knew about. So I said, you know what? I'm going to also talk about this in the book because I think it needs to be discussed about, what do you do when you have a business to run and you have a health issue going on or something is happening in your personal life where you're like, you know what, forget this business, man. I need a break. So that was the first reason I took a break, and then I picked the pen back up, and then we got pregnant again and had another miscarriage. So that was the
Goodness.
second time I had to take a break. And, we really had to make some decisions after the second miscarriage because I almost died. I almost didn't even make it. I was on bed rest. I was hospitalized. I lost way too much blood. And again, because I'm a planner and my husband is too, we had to make some decisions. It's like, look, let's take a break from this because I may not, make it a third time. So I again shared that in the book that things happen and there's no way to be prepared with things that happen in your personal life, but there are things that we can do to make sure that the business can either keep running or being okay with taking a doggone break. It's okay to take a break. You don't have to be superwoman 24/7, 365. It's all right. The business is going to be there, the clients will be there, everyone will still be there, but you need to be there as well. So I covered that. So that's one great thing I am happy about that kind of came out of that sad part of my story is that hopefully it'll resonate with some of the other women that have had some other struggles too.
And I think that transparency is such a heartfelt thing. And as you're sharing it now as well, I've heard so many women, share similar sentiments. And I think it's such an important thing that it's spoken about, because a lot of the times it's shunned upon, or women feel discouraged to open up about it. So I'm just, as an inspirational figure that you are, to be able to open up and to be able to share, to help others also help, open up their voices about their experiences as well. And then bringing that back to then, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, how do you then still continue, right? Because there always becomes the discouragement happens, and then there's never a getting back up again.
Exactly.
So I'm happy that you got to share that in this book. And it's not always, as you said, it's not always perfect, it's not always good, but because of social media, the impact of showing a particular type of life is what many people think maybe I'm the only one going through this experience. So thank you for your honesty and transparency, and opening up in that way. I'm super excited to read this book. I've been doing again that countdown. When I found out that you were finishing off the writing process, I was like, oh my god, yes, let's go.
Yes.
So it will be of course released, I believe, on this March. So we will be on the lookout for that as well, and I'll be talking about it throughout the show, and I'll be ranting and raving about it as we go along as well. So thank you so much. 10 years in business, life happens, so many things happen, but you are continuing to stand strong, and you are continuing. What are you hoping for next? What is the future looking like for Brittany? What can we expect from Pinq Inc, as well as, because you're also a formidable brand yourself. So what would you say we can expect from those two incredible brands?
This year has been so far super focused on this third office. So I can just say for right now that professionally, really making sure that we put a lot of effort, a lot of work into this third office, because it's going to take a team over there for sure. And then I say on the personal side, and just the Brittany brand, think I'm ready to kind of go back out there and kind of get back to teaching and get back to speaking, because I took a full year off from teaching a whole bunch of courses, because I would teach a different class like every month. I took a break from that. I think I only taught like 2 classes last year. And then also I took a break from any speaking engagements last year, because again, my body was still healing from nearly dying in the miscarriage. So now I feel strong. I'm ready to get back to doing the things that I had done the years prior. So I'm very excited about those 2 things.
And the world is ready to hear your voice again on stage. I can't wait. It's gonna be definitely a beautiful year. And as they say, like, from a difficult experience, I can also imagine how much strength you're gonna have getting back on stage, and how impactful your voice is going to be, as you're going to be continuing to impact so many women, right? We'll be hearing you speak on stage and engaging with you as you move along. So it's going to be a good one. We're going to be playing our global game before we say goodbye. I know you have to get back on that flight. So I'm going to be playing a global game and asking you a few global questions, and before we say goodbye. So first one is, who is your favorite global person or individual?
Oh, okay. Let me think. Now, besides you, okay, you are one of my favorite global darlings, 100%. I fell in love with, and of course, now her name slips my mind, but you're going to know who I'm talking about, because she is from Cape Town as well. And she just embodies just class, and she's a brown girl, just like me and you. Oh, what is her name? You know who I'm talking
about.
What
did she do? What did she do?
She had her own show, I feel like, years ago. She's very fashionable. She had this beautiful
Bonang.
I just probably the very first woman in Cape Town that I found, and I was like, oh my god, who is this woman. And I love the fact that she's her own boss, and I love her quirky personality, that she's just doing so many different things. She's more than just like a beautiful face, if you will. So absolutely love her.
Bonangwa Tema, she's absolutely I love her so. And funny enough, you remind me so much of her for some reason. Like I see you and I see your style and I see your work ethic, and I get so much, of that energy from her, and I see it in you.
Yes.
So when I saw you when I was in South Africa, I was like, she's my US Bonang. She's like so it's all kind of like all merging together. I absolutely love it. So that's your favorite global person is Bonangwa Tema. What is your favorite global brand or product?
Let me think. Okay, there's quite a few. If I had to choose one, because I love brands that are pink, of course. And I love brands that really get marketing. So it's not necessarily like the product, it's just their marketing is always fast and spot on. And I'm probably going to have to give that to Pretty Little Things. And the reason I love Pretty Little Things is, I mean, they just get it with the marketing, man. They just get it. They are fast with it. They're on top of the trends when it comes to marketing. Now I wish it was woman owned. Now that's one thing that they are missing, but they really are out of this world when it comes to the marketing. So I'd have to say them. Um, I love Pinq Inc. I don't know who's the owner of that business, man, but they have it going on for sure.
Oh, the Pinq Inc. Collection.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the favorite. But I'd say that's definitely a brand that stands out for me for sure. When is before I move to the next one, that collection is still available? I remember there was a time when it was kind of you were sharing more about it. Is it still available? And if it is, where can one find it?
It is not. I actually sold that business, so that business got acquired. So I was really excited about that. It was a e-commerce. If you're not familiar with the Pinq collection, it was a brand that I started. What was that? 2019, and it was all about the things that I literally use for business. It had pink notebooks that were leather and all types of leather goods and things like that that were all pink, and you could get custom monograms on and things like that. That particular business took off, and we were lucky enough to be in negotiations with someone that wanted to buy the business. So they have purchased it, and I don't know what they're doing with it now, but that business has now been purchased. So that was a win for the brand being able to sell it.
Yes. But it's another added layer to the Pinq Inc. brand and experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so your favorite global idea or innovation?
Let's see, favorite global innovation. I love it when brands where, let's say, they may be, best known or located in, Brazil or in Belize, but they do a lot of cross, promoting where they're really able to kind of do collaborations or partnerships, if you will, with other companies in other countries. I love things like that. That really stands out to me because, especially when you're woman owned, a lot of times as women, we think, oh, we have to work in a silo. We're not connecting with anybody, but you go a lot further, especially when you're doing it internationally and intertwining with other brands. I love that type of ideas from big brands that I see.
So really globalization and global expansion as an idea and as a concept stands out for you, which leads us to the next one, your favorite global destination. This might be an unfair question to ask you because you travel quite a bit. So your favorite global destination, where would that be?
I have two that are like neck and neck, and that is Dubai and Paris. I could just live either one of them. I've been telling Jonathan, I said, look, when we retire, we're going to retire in Paris, but I want to make sure that we spend our springs in Dubai. We have to.
I love it. Okay, so Dubai and Paris. The next one is your favorite global media and or entertainment. So that could be a song, a movie, or anything within the media and entertainment realm.
I have to really think about that. But when it comes to media and international, every time I think of Vuyo, okay?
Oh.
Every single time I do, because as for years, you're just so dynamic at what it is that you do. And I mean, you're just so established, and your brand is just very well curated when it comes to media in the show, and you had your network and different things like that. And it's amazing to see. And again, we do a lot of research on other things, but you stand out 100%. So I'm gonna have to say you in the Vuyo Jabota show.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's all we have in store on the show today. Anything you wanna make sure to put across, Brittany? Anything that you wanna share with our audience? I know this year is gonna be absolutely incredible, and as I said, I'm gonna be letting our audiences know from time to time some updates, some Pinq Inc updates on the show. So, what is it that you'd like to kind of leave us with as we kind of close the show off?
I'd like to share two things, if I can, very briefly. I would like to say the very first thing is a word of motivation. And people that know me and know the brand, they know that I don't believe in a lot of fluff, not things that you can actually do action steps with. So, the best thing that I want to tell people, if there is anyone listening or watching the show when you're like, I'm not sure what to do, I'm not sure when to start, the very best advice that I can give to anyone is whatever you're on the fence about right now, set a deadline right now in this very moment, and make sure that you hold yourself accountable to do it on whatever date that is. If it's tomorrow, you're going to get it done. If it's 2 years from now, you make sure you create a plan of action and you hold yourself accountable to get it done. Whatever it is, do not let anything stop you from launching, moving out, moving on, moving up. Whatever it is, nothing should stop you. And I can definitely be a testament that health, wealth has not stopped me, and it definitely shouldn't stop anybody else. And the last thing that I want to share is actually a free resource for anyone that's like, all right, the goal I have in mind is entrepreneurship. I want to start something. We have something called Pinq University, and it is where I am paying for 100,000 women's that are aspiring entrepreneurs, or they are current entrepreneurs, and you have not hit your financial goal. I am allowing you to enroll into Pinq University. We're going to cover your tuition. It is 4 semesters, and it comes with a whole, lineup of classes. There's a network, there's a community, there are events that are coming up all across the US. If you're located in the US, it's open to individuals that are in other countries. And it really is a college type of program where at the end of it, you're going to learn how to start your business, how to scale the business, how to hire for your business, how to get funding for your business, marketing, all those things. And it's free. You really can't lose when it's free. So if you're interested in Pinq University, just go to pinqinc.com and apply. And if selected, you'll be able to enroll and get started.
Now, of course, we'll be sharing that link on the show notes below as well. So make sure to utilize this resource. Even this conversation, I believe, is a resource because we shared so much, right? We unpacked so much that I believe could be helpful and fundamental to so many people who are watching. Brittany, thank you so much for your time.
Well,
Looking stunning as always. I love that pink number. New York Fashion Week is coming up, and we are gonna be out there.
Yes, yes, yes. Vuyo, if you do not know, okay, is our lead media personality. She's amazing, but she does, obviously, if you're watching this show, she knows how to hold a conversation. So we are very blessed to have her hitting the New York streets for one of the best events that's happened in New York, which is New York Fashion Week. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see you hitting the red carpets and interviewing all the people. So yeah, that's coming up too.
Yes, that's of course New York Fashion Week with Pinq Inc. is where you'll be finding me, and of course representing Pinq Inc. That's all we have in store for you on the show today. We've had such an enriching and an encouraging conversation. I hope that you learned a thing or two, or maybe plenty, with our queen, Brittany, representing Pinq Inc. Of course, we're talking global expansion. We spoke global, inspiration, and that and so much more. We will be seeing you back right here on the Vuyo show, same time, same place next week. I am your darling Vuyo, and this, of course, is the oh so lovely Brittany Freeman. From me and Brittany, it's goodbye and have a fantastic day.
Bye,
Cheers
everyone.
for now.